All right, so I did comment that there was an error in the code. In fact, you may have noticed this bug line that shows up in it. Let me switch over to it so you can see it. But I have this to do. There's a bug on size to resolve. Basically, it has to do with the tri-combo normal and then also the start and end points down here. Right now this works, and in my project design and limitations it works perfectly, and I'm not going to run into issues until I start getting into larger unit sizes, which I will inevitably do in this. So I will likely have to resolve it anyway. But it has to do with that. Anyway, we'll get into some of the specific issues. Inside of here, you'll notice that I have this bug in this. This is where I actually started to make a call out and ended up getting Taylor's help on it. So thank you, Taylor, for helping me resolve a lot of this. All right, so anyway, inside of here, I want to call out that I created this link, and let me move this in here. Now I've got two links to the same thing, whatever. Let's close one. All right, so as I was running into the issue, I started recording down what are the problems I'm running into, what is the state of my code, where is the primary setup of these issues, and as I was running into them, I started taking screenshots because I had visuals of them, and basically every time I'm changing the code inside of this red block, effectively. That's the majority of what's being changed. And re-executing it, and then I'm seeing what effect did it have. And I scroll down, and then this one has a different set of effects. This one has a different set of effects. This one looks exactly the same as the one above it. But this one had rotation lines and rotation effects going on, and this one has no rotation. And then this one has the same effect again, but then also has a different set of rotations going on. Which was kind of interesting to see so many ways of applying math that effectively mean nothing. All right, but that's something that I strongly recommend. If you find yourself starting to brute force an issue, start making a good log of the issues that you're running into and the ways of validating and testing it and what type of results you were getting compared to the code you were passing in. That can often fix things because as you fix part of it, you might remember, oh, I got part of this to work in this case, so now that I understand it more, I can get both of these sections together and just look up what your code was before and find the right fix. Anyway, so after I got this part solved, which I'm commenting out, again, thanks Taylor. But over here we've got the next challenge shortcut. So this was solutions and some of the discussion about that, but next challenge shortcut scrolls down and this is what it is. Right now it is dependent on the agent settings being a radius of 0.5. A radius of 0.5 in here. And it also is dependent on the fact that these angles are not really flat. So if I had an angle like this, like let's say that one side went to 40 and the other side went to negative 40, so basically it's just like a 10-degree difference between the two, then that distance of how far it's out and how far it's back versus it only being 1 meter wide, it's not going to be able to reach the ends. The design on my ship, though, I have a very purposeful intention to these broad sides that it has. I could have set it up so that these were just basically sharp wings over here, but the issue is that that's kind of a jarring thing to follow as you're trying to track units. So you get over to here, and then as you cross over, all of a sudden you completely flip sides of the ship. So at least in this one, you can start to edge your way over and then edge your way over to the other one, at most being about 90 degrees difference. And I wanted that surface area, so there's a bit of a battle, and this can be played tactically. There's strategic value to why you might want an edge or have units just next to an edge for when other units start to traverse over the sides. Because these units can't see over the edge. You don't know what's there until you peek. All right, so in my system, I'm not going to run into this issue. Not yet, anyway. As the width starts to change, then there is a good chance that I will. But most of these are pretty close to 90 degrees. Like maybe 70, 80 degrees around that range is the lower sides that I'm getting to. But yeah, most of these angles are are pretty flat to 0 and 90. Not much in between, not much closer to like 45, for instance. All right, anyway, so let's take a close look at what that means. I'm going to clean up these ones and turn on the second ones, just because that makes it a little easier to see. And let's go over to one of the nav mesh links. I guess I could have picked any. I actually picked the broad side of the ship. All right, let me go over to here. So when we're looking at this, and actually let me click just off the back. No, I still want nav mesh. There. You can see that this line ends up cutting through and goes through the nav mesh on both sides of these. It pierces it just a little bit. So that works exactly how I want it to. But what happens if I have a 4-meter wide unit? My current code is going to, it'll still work, but this edge is going to be receded from half a meter to 0.5 meters, or sorry, to 2 meters. So it's going to be out here, and this line is no longer going to match it. Additionally, the width of the line is going to have to expand, so I need both of those numbers to expand. That means that these start and end points have to extend out farther, and additionally my nav mesh length, not that one, the start position. How far I go back on tri-combo normal, that's going to need to change too. Right now it's half a meter. I would likely have to change this to the new radius, but then I have to do math to figure out how far this is going to go out. Now, that's pretty easy to visualize. It's not too tough, so I'm not too worried about it. This is a very solvable problem, but it's there. And I don't care to fix it right now because my code design does not need it. That will be something I'll likely have to fix in the future, but for now it works. All right, I hope this has been useful and the series has been insightful. And if you have anything to add to this, things where it might be great if I included another video that covered certain extensions onto this, certain feature sets, especially if they coincide with things that I will naturally need inside of the RTS, I'm happily going to want to cover these things and make sure they work. Right now, I am still planning on using this for the RTS23 project.